Okay.
Clerks, call the roll.
Glenn Whitley, Judge.
Here.
Roy C. Brooks, Commissioner Precinct 1.
Present.
Marty Van Ravensway, Commissioner Precinct 2.
Here.
Gary Fickus, Commissioner Precinct 3.
Here.
J.D. Johnson, Commissioner Precinct 4. Constitutes a quorum.
Thank you. Our invocation this morning will be delivered by Pastor Russell Hildebrand from Grace Lutheran Church in Arlington. Pastor, if you come forward. After the invocation, please remain standing for our pledges.
We pray, most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for the night of rest and a new day to see your light in our lives. Grant Justice Whitley and commissioners the wisdom from above to be wise and just, and to dispense justice with honor and integrity. Lord, reign in the hearts of those in front of Judge Whitley and commissioners today, and help them to be forthright in all business dealings and to recognize that this honorable man sitting on the bench represents God this day. As it says in Romans chapter 13, everyone must submit himself to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which God has established. Lord Jesus, be ever present this day in our lives as we share your joy and peace. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. Thank you, brother.
Pastor, thank you again for coming down this morning. Mr. Manius, agenda announcements.
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the Court, we have three announcements for you this morning. The first one is under the Administrator's section, item 8A5. This concerns a contract between Tarrant County and MHMR of Tarrant County. We have provided you with a revised court communication in your electronic court book, simply to make sure that we had the correct grant account where this funding is going to come from. That's the only change in that particular one. Also, members of court, under Juvenile Services, item 8H1, that concerns an amendment to the CUC Tech Share program for the JCMS. We're going to ask that we hold that for 1 week. And then finally, members of the court, on purchasing, item 8J10. This is bid number 2008-145. It's a sale of recycled paper. There's a new and updated court communication in your red folder and electronic court book this morning. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Court members, you have before you the minutes of our regular meeting of June the 24th.
Move approval.
Second. We have a motion and a second for approval of the minutes. Any questions or discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. At this time, as we do on the first Tuesday of each month, it's our opportunity to celebrate the anniversaries of some of our employees, and so we will go about doing that, and we'll begin with our 5-year employees, as I normally do at the beginning of each one of these sessions. I remind you that if it sounds like your name, stand up, and just know that phonics was not my highest skill as I was going through school. We'll start off with our 5-year employees. The first is Kenneth Bowen from CSCD. Ernest Childers III from the Sheriff Confinement. Roger Crutcher, District Attorney's Office. Ron Davis, Sheriff Confinement. Katrina Catchett, Sheriff Confinement. Cicerone Glover, Sheriff Training. Ramon Herrera, Public Health. Gregory Newton, Sheriff, Confinement. Felicia Oye? Now, that's one of those ones where if your first name is Felicia, you need to stand up. Sheriff, Confinement. Bill Oles, Sheriff, Confinement. Angela Price, Sheriff, Confinement. Tara Raby, District Attorney's Office. Close. Laura Ramos, Domestic Relations. Ken Reynolds, Sheriff, Confinement. Simone Rocca, Facilities Management. Roger Russell, Sheriff, Confinement. Michael Sykoff. Amazing. Even a blind squirrel gets one every once in a while. Yeah, I know. Gary Smith, Precinct 2, Maintenance. Okay. J.T. Thompson, Information Technology. J.T. was pretty easy. Thomas Tranum, Sheriff, Confinement. Ron Tucker, Sheriff, Confinement. Reginald Washington, Sheriff, Confinement. Let's give our 5 years a big hand. Now for our 10-year employees. Luella Abbasi, Tax Office. Close. Yes. Calvin Baker Jr., Sheriff, Confinement. Heather Byer, Probate Court Number 1. David Bowles, Sheriff, Courts. John Carty, Information Technology. Nina Carty, Information Technology. No relation, I'm sure. Roosevelt Collins, Juvenile Services. Roosevelt. Linda Davidson, District Clerk, Civil. Dominka Garay, Public Health. Oops. Close? That's what I figured. Help me out. Garay. I apologize. Jana Jenkins.
Spelled. Like it's spelled.
Well, I know that, but sometimes what I see and what I read is not what I say. The brain has yet to been able to get control over the mouth, as most of y'all understand that have dealt with me very much. Jana Jenkins, Tax Office. Tim Lemire, Juvenile Services. Abath Lopez, Sheriff's Confinement. George Malone, Sheriff, Confinement. Rafael Marquez, Transportation Services. Ronald Marshall, 297th District Court. Cheryl Marchant, Sheriff, Confinement. David Owens, Precinct 3, Maintenance. David Parton, Pretrial Services. Raul Rodriguez, Sheriff, Warrants. Rufus Rundels, Sheriff, Patrol.
I think it's Rufus.
Yeah, well, I thought so too after I said it. Stephen Solis, Sheriff's Courts. Jennifer Tabay, Sheriff, Confinement. Jerry Tabay, Sheriff, Warrants. Leonora Vargas, yeah, here's another one, Vargas, Sheriff, Property Evidence. Ricky Vaughn, Information Technology. Lydia Villamel.
How about Via Mill?
Yeah, Villamel. Is she here? Raise your hand. Juvenile Services. These are our 10-year employees. Again, thank you very much. I'm beginning to be taken by the idea of rotating this each month and letting everyone. I would at least do that through the 15 years, but I enjoy too much the conversations I have with the employees to let y'all do the other ones. 15-year employees. Don Cannon, Sheriff Patrol. Melody Mann, District Attorney's Office. Deborah Mickens, Public Health. Annette Morris, Public Health. These are our 15-year employees. Let's give them a big hand. As I did just mention, for our 20-plus years, we ask, I give them each a call. Sometimes it's very near to Tuesday morning, but it's usually never after Monday evening. And we talk a little bit, and sometimes I can get some stories out of them, but it's just neat to talk with folks who have really committed their lives to public service and have really are what Tarrant County is all about. And so we do like to spend a little bit of extra time with those folks. And for those of y'all who were in the 5, 10, and 15, I'll look forward to you reaching the 20. And hopefully I'll be here to have a chance to introduce you and call you and talk with you a little bit about some of the experiences that you've had with the county. Our first 20-year employee this morning is Karen Castorina. There she is. She's been with Juvenile Services, been there for 20 years. Started out in the detention area and then is now, I guess, in the intake area. When I asked her more of some of her more memorable moments, she said, you know, I started out as an intern with Tarrant County, and really everything that has happened in my life has happened while I've worked here at the county. She says she just loves her job. She loves the people, the families that she has a chance to deal with. And she, throughout the conversation, she just kept saying, this is what I've always wanted to do. And I tell you what, Karen, we really, really appreciate that, and we're very glad that you have that you've spent the last 20 years of your life with us. Thank you very much. Now, next would have been Clifford Johnston, who is in Constable Precinct 1, and he's celebrating 20 years. But this week he's gone on vacation, and so he's not with us today. Next, that I believe is here, is John Maurice, Sheriff Confinement. There's John. As John and I talked, he reminded me of the fact that early on when I was a commissioner, every once in a while I'd take a holiday or do something like that, and I would just visit the jail. And in one of those visits, John and I sat down and we had about an hours-long conversation. And it was really neat because it was one of those things where you really have a chance to sit down and talk with folks who are doing it and a part of it every day. John started out in detention at the Belknap Center, has had a chance over the last 20 years really to work at all of the facilities, worked in criminal warrants for a while and in booking. Now he's back at the Belknap facility, and when I asked him about his more memorable moments, he said, you know, there really have been so many that it's really hard to pick one. He said he's made some great friends over his 20 years with Tarrant County, and that really the thing that he really liked the most were the people that he had a chance to meet and to work with, and the benefits. He said he really appreciates the friends, and then again he just kind of reminded me of that opportunity that he and I had a chance to spend talking very early on when I didn't really know anything about what was going on in the county or in the jail or any of those types of things, and he was really very helpful to spend time with me at that. John, we appreciate the 20 years you've given to Tarrant County. Thank you very much. Next would have been Jimmy Owens with Green Bay, and he is out today and wasn't able to make it with us. He said he wished he could have been here, but was unable to make it, and so we're going to miss him today. Next is Chris Roberson, County Clerk's Office. Chris, where are you? There she is. Chris has spent 20 years with the county clerk. She started off working in the assumed names, and it was kind of as a part-time position and summer help. And then when she actually started, when that ended, she started working in the marriage license area and went from there to data entry and is now in the post-judgment area for the county courts. When I asked her about her most memorable moment, she said it was issuing marriage license, that she had been kind of shy when she started out this job, but that after having an opportunity to meet with a lot of different people, that they kind of brought her out of that shyness. She said one of, that kind of the memorable moments that she's had have dealt in a lot of cases where she's issuing marriage licenses to minors. And she said there was this one particular instance, and I asked her, I said, "Are you sure you weren't working in Arkansas when this happened?" Well, now that you stood up, this really even makes more sense. She said in one particular instance, there was a mother that came in and signed permission slip for her minor daughter to marry her ex-husband. So like I said, every once in a while, see, Jack? You agree with me now, don't you?
Melissa's going to give our agenda today.
When I asked her what she liked most about working, it was the people and the environment. It was the closeness that she said she had with everybody that she worked with. She said, it really is a great family. And it really is an opportunity where folks genuinely care about the folks that they work with and that they deal with. And so, Chris, we really want to tell you how much we appreciate the time you've given to Tarrant County. Thank you very much. Next is Debbie Spoons from Juvenile Services, 20 years. Now, Debbie has the honor this month of being the last one I got a hold of. She was in meetings most of the day yesterday, and I was getting a little nervous. And so she called, and she started out, and she's been with the county for 20 years, been in the juvenile services area. Started out in juvenile services, spent 2 years in intake, and then she spent the last 18 years in placement services and now the supervisor in that particular area. When I asked her about her more favorable moments, she said, "I love working with kids." She said, "I just can't think of doing anything else." She said, "There have been a lot of changes over the years, but she said throughout that process, I've had an opportunity to work with and hopefully have a good impact upon the kids that I've had a chance to come in contact with." She says, "I like the employees, like the security and the support that she's had while she's been in that department." She says, "They let me make my own decisions. They're not just always on top of me, but they give me flexibility. They trust me. They respect me." And she said, when I asked if there was anything else, and I think this was something, she said, "I worked 5 years before I came to the county dealing with folks and with kids who were runaways." And she said, "I got hired in this job because I liked working with runaways." And she said, I just love that. That's been a passion. And we just need more people like you, and we have benefited greatly from the time that you've given to Tarrant County, and we really, really, Debbie, want to thank you for that time. Next is Sharisha Hudson with the District Clerk's Office. Good morning. She's been with us for 25 years.
Wow.
She started off in the adult probation area. It was actually the CETA program, and you worked there for a couple of years, and then you went to the District Clerk's Office. Most of her time she has worked in Judge Boyd's area, but now is in Judge Wells's court. When I asked her about her more memorable times, she said that was the time spent in the juvenile court area. She said, she chuckled a little bit. She said every once in a while one of these kids would decide they were going to make a run for it. And she said it was kind of funny to watch all those probation officers all trying to catch up with these kids as they take off. But she said after thinking over this and looking at the 25 years, She said, without a doubt, the thing that meant the most to her and the thing that she remembered most was the National Adoption Day. And the fact that during that time, kids who probably really never thought they were going to get adopted got adopted. And she said that has always stuck in her mind as one of the most memorable parts and things that she's had the privilege of experiencing and being a part of as she's been with the county. She loves the people and the different types of people, and like so many have said, it's really become a family to her. And Sharisha, we really appreciate you spending 25 years with us and being a part of that family. Thank you very much. Next is Virgil Palmer, Sheriff Confinement. Virgil's been with us for 25 years. Started off in the Belknap Jail, has worked in all the facilities. He said, when I asked him about his most memorable, he said, the fact that I can enjoy my job every day and every day can bring a surprise. He said he's got a very, I think, great attitude to bring to this job. He said he likes most the people he works with, including the inmates. And he said that he's had a chance to work for 4 different sheriffs and that each have been different in their own way. His son now works in the department. In fact, he said he's got his replacement. He's ready to retire now. He's found his replacement. He said it really is a fun job and it really is a small world. And he told a couple of stories. He mentioned one story in particular. He said they were getting ready to transfer a prisoner from one area to another, and this prisoner had been, was just a little bit on the ornery side. And so they had the perk team all ready to go into the cell. They knew they were going to have to struggle and fight with this guy. And Virgil got up there and said, well, let me just talk to him for a second. And the guy had his back, and he was screaming and doing all that. And he turned, and Virgil said, just turn around and just talk to me for a second. And he turned around and he said he recognized the guy. He'd gone to school with his brother. He said they struck up a conversation, and he walked him to the next place that he needed to be. But again, it's because Virgil believes you treat everybody with respect, and not just, and that everybody sometimes comes on hard times, but everybody likes to be dealt with respect. And he doesn't try to judge folks. And as he's trained folks, that's what he tries to impart. Our job here is not to judge. That comes with the courts and with the Lord. And my job here is to treat folks with respect and to do the best that I can. And he said, when I quit having fun at what I'm doing, I'm going to walk out of this door and I won't come back. And Virgil, we appreciate that kind of an attitude. It's that kind of an attitude that makes Tarrant County special among all the counties, not only in the state but in this country. We thank you for the 25 years you've given us. Next is Teddy Smith with Information Technology. There you are. Started out in records management's always been there. Records, she's now the Records Information Management Supervisor over imaging. I type as quick, I don't type real quick, so sometimes they get ahead of me. And I have to slow them down and tell them they're going to have to work with me. When I asked her about her more memorable moment, and I told her that the statute had run on workers' comp, she was working in the Ajax building, and she was filming images, and all of a sudden the ceiling fell in on her. And I don't mean the ceiling fell in, I mean the ceiling fell in on her. They'd had a leak, and we put some plastic up, and it was just not the best of deals. And she called her supervisor, and her supervisor was very quick to say, "How are the records?" Now, I hope your supervisor isn't here today, but if they aren't, she would. They didn't tell any names, and I just kind of took that down. She didn't say it as though the supervisor wasn't concerned about her. I just kind of decided to write that into the little editorial privilege. Don't want to get you in trouble if there's anybody still around in that regard. She's always enjoyed working with her coworkers and the people that she's had a chance to meet in other areas and other departments as we go through the year. And she's enjoyed the variety of the work. When I asked her if there was anything else, she said she really enjoyed working here and hoped that she'd work for several more years. And when I asked her, I said, a lot of times, she said, time did not go by so quick in the beginning. But she said now it just sails by and really enjoys what she's doing. And we really, Teddy, appreciate the 25 years you've given to Tarrant County. Thank you very much. Next is Faye West with Public Health. Faye. Now, Faye started out in the DA's office and was a temp there for about 3 or 4 months, and then she didn't like lawyers either, and so she moved to the, she didn't say that. She then moved over to the public health area and has been in the WIC area for the entire 25 years that she's been in public health. She said, I love, again, the clients and the fact that it's something new every day. And that she just really, really enjoys having an opportunity to meet people. When I asked her what she likes most, it was the people that she met. She again just says, I love just having a chance to talk with folks. She's been, she said, I've seen folks in all walks of life, the good and the bad times. Now, she said she wasn't much of a talker, and I did have a hard time pulling things out of her. But I do want to tell you, Faye, that we very, very much appreciate the 25 years you've given us. Now, our last person today is Mary Clark. Mary? Mary has been with us for 35 years. Started off in adult probation. Then she moved over to the district clerk's office and is now an auxiliary court coordinator. She said she really enjoys everyone in the department that she's had a chance to work with over these 35 years. And she said, I've gotten to know most, if not all, the district judges. Really enjoy that. She said it's been a lot of fun. That she's made friends that have just stayed with her and will stay with her for a lifetime. Her comment was, it's just absolutely a wonderful place to work. And Mary, it is a wonderful place to work, but it's because of people like you who dedicate their time and dedicate their lives to public service. And we really appreciate the 35 years you've given us. I never cease to be amazed as I go through this process and have a chance to talk with the folks. Just the commitment that I feel and I hear in their voices and in everything that they say. They truly are committed to public service. And the folks that I know that I'm just recognizing by name only right now are just as committed, and I do look forward to talking with y'all in years to come, because again, you're what make this a special place. So let's give everybody a big round of applause. We got refreshments, we got pictures, and we got telephones. 504C back over here in the corner. So with that, we'll adjourn for just a second. Not adjourn, we will just pause and recess. I didn't mean for them to leave.
We can go home now.
How are you? Doing great? Keeping everybody out of trouble? I need to get some more pronunciation. I need to work out. Good to see you. She may have. She took care of travel in the auditor's office for a while. These names just kill me sometimes.
What she said is absolutely true. What you see, what you think, and what you say is three different things.
Okay, we'll go ahead and get back to it. Commissioner Fickus, I believe you have a resolution on the agenda.
Yes, I do. This is a resolution for the National 9/11 Flight Crew Memorial. This is a statue that will be unveiled on Friday, July the 4th in Grapevine on Northwest Highway at Texan Way, and City of Grapevine is presenting this, and I would like to make a motion to approve this resolution.
Second.
A motion is second. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Have before you the consent agenda with the revision as noted somewhere in the,
I'll make a motion to approve the consent
yeah.
agenda.
Second.
we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda with the item 8A5 revision. Any other discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Mr. Manius?
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the court, I'm going to ask Randy Ranois to come up and help me make this first presentation. On item number 1, we're requesting that the Commissioners Court approve an order prohibiting outside burning for a period of 90 days from this date or until repealed by the court in accordance to state law. Randy, you come up. This is something that Commissioner Johnson asked that we put on the agenda. While we do not meet the threshold set by the State Forest Service, there is provision in the statutes that allows us to do that if the drought conditions are such that the Commissioners Court feels that it's necessary to put a burn ban on. And Randy, you might want to elaborate.
We got a wellness program starting here in about a month. We got a wellness program starting in about a month. You and I can join it together.
Apologize. As Mr. Mania said, Commissioner Johnson had brought this to our attention and wanted us to bring it to the court. And we talked to the Texas Forest Service last week. I talked to them late yesterday afternoon. They recognize certain areas in our county that are in a drought condition. The first picture that I've given to you in the yellow portions are those areas that are between 500 and 600 on the KBDI, the drought index, which indicates that it's a lack of moisture. The plants are starting to be drained of moisture. The second page.
Looks like most of that's in Precinct 1.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Most of it is, and then there's an area up around Commissioner Johnson's area also. The second page, I want...
Excuse me
Yes,
just
sir.
a minute. There's an orange box.
The orange box means that those conditions there are more critical than the yellow, which is,
Right. Where is that specifically?
Commissioner.
Just maybe about on top of I-35.
I would say that, I'm trying to figure where I live, because I live close. I would say it's between 35 and Crowley, probably in that area.
Okay.
That would be a,
Probably pretty close to your maintenance facility.
Okay.
but I wanted to bring attention to the second one, and that's the 14-day outlook as of yesterday. And if you'll notice it's showing our weather patterns, it's showing our conditions to deteriorate. I've also talked to the National Weather Service about rainfall predictions, and they've told me, Gary Woodall with National Weather Service has told me that we're looking at, or they're predicting below normal precipitation for the months of July and August. And then you think about normal precipitation for July and August. So, we always try to be proactive in situations like this. Our south and southwest corridor, we track over the years. We have a lot of problems out that way because we have farming and ranching and pastures, and we also have large subdivisions out there, which are concerns we look at. The same way in the north and the northwest area.
Do we have appropriate coverage from the various volunteer fire departments and municipal fire departments for these unincorporated areas down in Precinct 1?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And as a matter of fact, just to...
And we've got tankers located
Yes, sir.
out there.
And to remind the court, this last year, our ESD purchased 6 brand-new brush trucks
Okay.
to put out in these areas. Another concern is our right-of-ways are beginning to be mowed. And when you get into this time of year where you don't get a lot of moisture and you mow those right-of-ways, they tend to dry out faster. So a lot of the fires we see come from right-of-ways, and then a lot of it comes from outdoor burning. So it's kind of a preventive tool, both ways to get people not to do any outdoor burning, and also do some education on the right-of-ways as far as cigarettes, things of that nature.
You wouldn't suggest that we not mow the right-of-ways?
No, sir. No, sir. I'm just saying that
It
the
dries out.
conditions on our right-of-ways now, due to the time of the year, also we've been seeing 93 to 95 degree temperatures, which also zaps the moisture out of the ground, and it can change, real quick. And it can also change the other way, too, should we get sufficient rain. I know a lot of the rainfall that we've gotten over the last couple of weeks have been more concentrated in the what I call the asphalt and concrete area, which is the northeast, area where all the cities, the municipalities are congregated.
I resemble that.
And we look at out in your area where it's more rural.
Which is more pastoral and scenic.
Amen, Commissioner.
Thank you so much.
And the fact that another thing that I'm taking into consideration with this too is looking at that 14-day outlook. Also, I understand that we're not going to have a meeting on the 15th of court, so this would be an appropriate time to carry us through that.
This does not have any impact upon, it has impact upon outdoor burning, and that's really about it.
Yes, sir. Has no impact on fireworks, has no impact on anything else other than the control of outdoor burning.
And
We
this
have-
would be a 30-day ban?
Be a 90-day ban.
90-day ban?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It doesn't make sense to me that if we've got this big problem, and then we have fireworks, but they're no problem. That doesn't make sense.
Well, the statutes for outdoor burning don't cover that.
Talk with your state rep.
And at the time, when we had a deadline for restricting certain fireworks, we had rain. And that was back.
But, I mean, and again, right now, if we were looking, I mean, we're anticipating that over the next over the next week, I guess by us enacting this burn ban, we're anticipating that over the next week, a lot of this green area may very well turn yellow.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that's the reason to give you the 14-day outlook map on there to show you that.
Right.
And I'll remind the court also that should you approve it today and within the 14 days or within, the next time period, we have sufficient rain and we have sufficient, green up, as sometimes we do, not a whole lot during this time, we can always, lift the ban or repeal the ban. I just think that,
Randy, in previous years, we have enacted bans on certain types of fireworks. Did I understand you to say that the time frame for doing that has passed and we can no longer take advantage of that?
That's correct, but also there were thresholds, according to the law, that we had to meet in order to restrict those.
And it was raining during those?
Yes, sir. We hadn't met that.
Okay. And it's your recommendation that we enact this burn ban?
Yes, sir, for 90 days.
I move approval of the burn ban.
Second.
And I also would ask that we issue some sort of a press statement asking people to be cognizant of the dry conditions and to self-regulate their use of fireworks.
Commissioner,
We have a motion and we have a second. Go ahead, Randy.
I just want to let you know, we've issued a press release concerning fireworks. We did that last week, what you can do, can't do, being careful. And our normal procedure is once the court approves this, then we push with the press and the media, what our conditions are, why we're asking this, what you can do, can't do, and be real careful. And I appreciate you mentioning that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Again, thank you, Randy. I really, think this will be good. I hope, as you've said and as you've mentioned, that folks will be very careful as we approach the 4th of July weekend. No other questions, please vote. That motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Your Honor, members of the court, on item number 2, we're requesting that the Commissioners Court create an advisory committee for the county's new civil courts building and appoint the membership that is listed in your court communication.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? One of the things that I would mention is Mr. Manius and I have talked, and Mr. Kelly came over and kind of asked what the status was, and we talked about him about him chairing that committee. Our hope is, or at least my hope, and I hope y'all agree, and we can begin to move forward, would be to have RFPs out for the architects in the next 4 to 6 weeks, and have that architect selected as well as the construction manager selected by the end of September. And that just kind of starts the process rolling. In the meantime, Mr. Kelly may choose to bring these folks together and just have some preliminary discussions, but I would not envision there being anything of a major magnitude being undertaken prior to the time that we have an architect and a construction manager on board.
I would also like to ask that we do one additional thing, and it's not on the agenda, so it won't be a part of the motion. There are some things that need to be done to the existing Justice Center. I'd like to see a committee appointed to look at those issues and come back to us with recommendations about what to do with the Justice Center to make it more efficient to be used by the judges that are over there.
I think
There are
that's a
some
good point.
holding cell issues and some other things that need to be addressed.
I think that's a good point. A couple of things, I guess, a couple comments. I mean, one is that as we have talked about the jail, we're talking about a new holding center there where the old kitchen used to be. And one of the things that I felt like is as we get started with the civil courts building and we become, we can back up from that and know that this is about the time that the civil court judges will be moving out and move back from there. I certainly agree that a committee ought to be put in place to look at the whole renovation,
Right.
possibility of renovation on that
Right.
building. And so I think that's what you're kind of looking at.
I'd like to ask that Mr. Manius agendize that for 2 or 3 weeks from now.
The one thing I would say about setting that committee up too early is because we could be a couple of years away from being ready to really study that, and the way technology and everything changes now,
But there may be some things that we can do in the interim to
Yes.
make it more
Okay.
effective to use that existing building.
There's some real critical space needs in that building right now.
Yes, there are.
That probably need to be addressed, that
Right.
may not, that are still going to be there, so, if we don't do something. So, I agree.
Any other comments or discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Finally, Your Honor, on item number 3, we're requesting that the court approve interim funding for the continuation of the vocal programs within the DA's office and also the Sheriff's Department. We're talking about a period not to exceed 60 days. The total amount is about $40,000, $20,000 per grant. That money would actually be part of their cash contributions to the grant program. We've been assured that the money is coming from the state, but it's simply haven't completed their paperwork yet.
Make a
Move for
motion.
approval.
Go ahead. Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Snyder?
First Management Board is recommending the approval of the claim to Dr. Wu and the amount listed on your agenda.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
How did he pronounce his first name?
Doctor? I think I said that very clearly.
Just wanted to share the pain.
Hi there. We're here to have a subrogation recovery approved by the court in the amount of $2,256.20, requesting the auditor be authorized to cash this check.
Move approval.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Mr. Phillips? Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It is requested that Commissioners Court approve Amendment Number 1 to the real property lease with Mercantile Partners for the addition of 10,000 square feet space to the Tarrant County Records Management Center on Quorum Drive, Fort Worth, Texas.
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
David, let me ask you a question before, and then I won't have to ask it on briefing. Where are we kind of on our juvenile services? This is scary. You're getting good, Bubba.
Yeah.
This updates all our major projects, Judge.
Sorry about that. We just want to get you a little bit more exercise, Ms. Glenn.
The juvenile services is on down the list in here, but actually, Commissioners Court approved archaeological study of that site and others to meet the requirements of the Texas Historical Commission statutes that county-owned property be thoroughly investigated for archaeological opportunities. That
We have
particular
to do that on every county site?
county-owned site. And that particular, we got back our surveys, and that,
Looking for those skeletons?
yes, actually, we found those cornerstones of the old poor farm, back when we were digging out some asbestos-containing materials last year. And at this time, we're waiting on moving forward with a letter to the Historical Commission and a proposal from our archaeologists to be there while we're finishing up our digging to remove the asbestos-containing materials out there. So we're still improving the site, getting it ready for construction. We had not planned on doing any planning or archaeological or architectural engineering until probably a year or so from now, unless you tell me different.
And I guess the thing that kind of brought this a little bit to mind is we've talked about planning the civil courts. We're talking about, is there any possibility, or do we need to go ahead and start those same conversations? Maybe you've already had them with juvenile.
Yes,
with
sir.
Judge Boyd and.
Yes, sir. We've had meetings. Actually, we've done some pre-planning, master planning for the site, and we've done that to have a separate courts facility, detention facility, and put and place the JJAEP school out there on Premier Street. We've got that layout, the site plan, and we've had for several months, and we're just kind of looking at it and letting them work through that, and got some cost estimates, and the cost estimate for that particular site plan is more than we have for our bond package. So we'll have to make some hard decisions at that time of what the priorities are. So we have done some preliminary work with Judge Boyd and Randy and their staff.
Thank you very much. Ms. Glenn?
Move approval to receive and file the personnel agenda.
A second.
We have a motion and a second to receive and file the personnel agenda. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. The second item that we have on the agenda, we're asking the court to approve tuition reimbursement funding for the balance of this fiscal year. This is a follow-up to a briefing item that we had on last week. We provided you with 3 options on last week. You have those outlined in your court communique today. We are recommending option 3 for the court's approval. That option will provide an additional $35,620 so that we can process requests for summer reimbursement. If the court approves that, what that means in whole then for the entire fiscal year is that for the fall, spring, and summer sessions, we'll be reimbursing employees approximately 75% of their tuition costs.
I think this is a critical issue for the county, not only for those individual employees that participate in this reimbursement program, but for us as employers to make sure that we provide our employees with an opportunity to personal growth, that enhances their skills and performance as county employees and helps us to retain them. It's far more expensive to go out and hire somebody and train them than it is to upgrade our existing workforce. So I would move approval of option 3, which is to add $35,620 to our tuition reimbursement plan.
We have a motion.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. I guess I want to be sure I understand. When we say the 35.6, that pays everybody full amounts for the spring then and for the summer, correct?
No, sir. For the spring, our reimbursement with the remaining funds, which is a little bit more than $71,000, actually almost $72,000, I believe that is, it's in your court communique, that would provide 78%. That would be a 78% reimbursement. That's if we use the remaining funds just for spring. For spring. With the additional $35,000 in funding, our reimbursement requests for summer already exceed the $35,000. So with the $35,000, again, we're looking at about a 75% reimbursement.
So the fall, those who applied, who took fall courses,
They received 100%.
They received 100%.
I believe I misspoke, yes. Yes.
And then we're saying that we only had 71,000 left for reimbursement of the spring, and that
Correct.
wouldn't, and so that's represented to be 61% of the normal if we were going to, so that's 71,000 represents 61% of the total applied for?
If you spread it
The-
over both the spring
The spring and the summer,
semester.
that would
What
be
would it cost if we were reimbursing everybody 100% for this year?
for fall and spring.
For spring and
This
summer?
summer.
That's what I meant, spring and summer. It'd be 60, about 60? It'd be at least double the 35, I think.
How much?
I think we're looking at about between 50 and 60 for 100% reimbursement. Because we did reimburse 100% for the fall. For the spring, with the money that we have left, if we used all of the 71,000, that would be about 78% reimbursement.
What about the consideration of 100% for A's and 80% for B's and 70% for C's?
Yes, ma'am. What we talked about at the briefing last week is that what we're doing is we're planning to come back to the court within the month's time to outline some changes that we're proposing to the policy. And that's one of several items that we're considering.
But that would be for the next fiscal year.
That would be for the next fiscal
We're
year.
trying to finish out where we are right
Correct.
now.
Because-
Would y'all be at all of a mind to reimburse 100%
Oh, absolutely.
Sure.
Sure,
for this year?
sure.
Spring and summer? Would you
Sure.
like to redress your motion?
I would withdraw the previous motion and ask that we approve tuition reimbursement for those participating in the program for the spring and summer semesters at 100%.
And I'll second that.
A motion and a second, and then I would encourage, Officer, go ahead.
Well, you haven't paid for the spring semester yet? Is it?
No, sir, we have not reimbursed for spring yet. We're
In a normal year, when would you have paid that money?
I don't recall what the deadlines are, but I have those on my desk. We probably would have processed those about a month and a half ago.
Because they finish up middle of May.
Typically, most people are done by May, early, middle. Some people, of course, get done a little bit earlier, some people get done a little bit later.
We're kind of
But we're
behind.
typically reimbursing in May, and we just intentionally held those because we knew that we were going to be looking at a funding shortage for the summer.
We need to get that taken care of.
Yeah, I agree, and I think we do need to get that part in. I think we do it at 100%. But I am going to be very interested in the next month to see some alternatives that give us that give a reimbursement at a fair rate.
Right.
Still keep the encouragement. I don't want to deter that encouragement, as Commissioner Brooks referred to. There is an end to what we can do.
Right.
But I believe we asked these folks to go forward, and are we implied to them that they would be reimbursed? And I think we need to do that.
This year.
Any other discussion?
And even at that, next year's budget is going to be, I guess,
Yes.
in terms of the amount.
Depending on what we end up approving.
Absolutely, because again, costs
It's-
continue to
it's-
go up.
It's a moving target.
And
Well-
participation increases, which is a good thing, so.
Any other discussion? Please vote. Motion passes
Thank you.
unanimously. Ms. Brewer? You're the sub, huh? Well, that's a good sub. Come on forward.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm here to ask approval of the court to accept a grant that we just were awarded from the Texas Department of Health for obesity prevention.
Move for approval.
Second,
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
just that I resemble that remark.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Beecham?
Your Honor, the members of the court, we have 10 items for your consideration this morning. Our first item is a bid award recommendation in regards to bid number 2008-101. This is a bid for the purchase of a dual-purpose integrated workstation for the Office of Emergency Management. Recommendation be awarded to the low bidder Bramett Creative Business Products, amount of $58,393.
Move for approval.
Second, where will these be
Be
located?
Fourth floor, as I understand.
Fourth floor.
Yes, sir.
We're acquiring this now because we have funding to acquire this station.
Custom design, custom...
Yes, sir, there's only one vendor that we could find. It's exactly the same with a couple more accessory items that we purchased for the Public Health Department.
It allows for 10 computer terminals, a ham radio operation. It'll allow spaces for emergency management, Sheriff's Department, Public Health to occupy basically the war room.
Okay.
Any further questions? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Our second item is also a bid award recommendation for RFP number 2008-100. This is an RFP for health risk assessment services. Recommendation would be to award on a per unit price basis, awarding to the Medical Center of Plano Center for Lifestyle Enhancement.
I'll move approval with reluctance.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 3 is also a bid award recommendation for bid number 2008-128. This is our annual contract for cold asphalt crack sealant. That recommendation would be to award on a per unit price basis, awarding to Easy Seal.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 4 is also a bid award recommendation in regards to bid number 2008-126. This is our annual contract for the purchase of motor graders. A recommendation will be to order a per unit price basis, awarding to the primary, secondary, and alternate vendors as shown in your court communique.
May I ask a question on that? Is this what we were discussing this morning on the Tier 2, Tier
Yes,
3
ma'am.
equipment?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yes, I have something to say about that. That one of the bidders has sold equipment that meets the Tier 3 requirements for some time now. And although you buy credits, the reality is what we're purchasing won't make that much difference in the clean air, because they purchase credits for a Tier 2 to get it certified.
Correct.
So I understand that the credits work that way. I just feel like it's a statement worth saying that if we purchase the Tier 2 equipment, we know it's not as environmentally correct as the Tier 3 equipment.
Do we have a bid for Tier 3 equipment instead?
We have some 2 and 3. And the 2 it's right on the cusp of the cutoff, and it's been certified as a 3 because the manufacturer has so many credits for having sold this type of equipment for a while.
How did you spec this, Jack?
We spec'd it as a Tier 2 or 3, Tier 3 certified. And
And I don't think Jack did anything wrong.
No.
I'm
That's
just
not the
saying
point.
that the
We're in
certification is misleading.
Because it's obtained with credits as opposed to being actual
Correct.
equipment. So the
Correct.
credits can be gotten from someplace else.
Correct.
Bottom line, they're hurting our air here.
Correct.
I agree with Marty. We ought to be buying Tier 3 equipment.
Is there anything that precludes them from buying from the Tier 3 equipment?
as I understand their certification, it won't affect us until January 1, 2009. What they can sell us, and there's a delivery time involved. We're in compliance with federal regulations.
But one of the manufacturers has been selling this equipment since 2007, so it's not impossible to obtain.
Is there anything that will preclude them from buying from that manufacturer? If they want to go out and buy the Tier 3 equipment, can they buy the Tier 3 equipment under what we're proposing here?
There's probably a price differential.
The item we're talking about, sir, is item 2.
Okay.
In particular, it would be about a $60,000 increase to get to the next bid, which is a secondary vendor.
And they have all actual Tier 3 equipment.
Yes, ma'am. And my understanding is that the John Deere will also be Tier 3 effective December. Will be an actual Tier 3.
They will actually have it available, but if we purchase it before that time,
It could be a Tier 2.
it could be a Tier 2 that's been certified because they had purchased credits.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me ask Mr. Reich. Ray?
Our primary vendor is fine. We always most often award a primary, secondary, and alternate vendor in case we have delivery problems. If we were to have to purchase from the secondary vendor, we could certainly wait as long in this fiscal year as we possibly could to place that order. We could actually even request, I don't think that's going to happen. I think our primary vendor, which is a Komatsu, this Continental Equipment, has done us a good job and is rated appropriately, as is the Tier 2 by
So under
federal.
item 1, that motor grader standard drive, that is a Tier 3
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
piece of equipment.
Yes, sir. The one
But
in
they don't
question
have
is-
they don't have item 2 in all-wheel drive.
Correct.
Right.
So under the item 2 is the only one we're talking about having a problem with a Tier 3 piece of equipment.
Yes, sir.
Correct.
And they're saying they'll have theirs in December, they just won't have it.
If we would
For
order
December.
today, right.
And there's the price differential.
Right. And I think that the problem is the certification. The reality is the emission of the pollutants. So we make a choice.
So, my question to Mr. Wright, can we bypass the low bidder who bid equipment that meets certification by applying credits and go to the next vendor who has Tier 3 equipment without rejecting all bids and rebidding this thing with revised specifications?
I have no idea at the present time. I
Can we
think we're
hold
going to
this
have to look at the
one for 1
RFP and see how it was worded.
Let's just pull that particular item and hold it.
Okay?
Not a problem at all.
Thank you.
Our next item would then be item number 5, which is also a bid award recommendation for RFP number 2008-116. This is a professional services for SFP upgrade. Recommendation would be to award the Sage Group the amount of $270,360.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion to second. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 6 is also a bid award recommendation for bid number 2008-123. This is a new semi-annual contract for letter and legal size recycled paper. A recommendation will be to award on a per unit price, awarding certain items to Western Paper and RIS Paper.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion to second. Any further
I
discussion?
think that's worth discussion as well.
It is.
Because we asked Jack to go out and get bids on recycled papers. And if we get 100% recycled, we see a significant price increase. If we get 30%, which to me doesn't mean a whole lot, we don't see as much of a price increase. So again, it's do we make a commitment or do we just talk about it?
And I certainly hope that we make the commitment and go forward with that, and I do understand, and I think it's especially important that we, and I appreciate you going forward with this, because it does affect our upcoming budget as we look at what we're buying in the form of recycled paper. It looks to be about, I guess, $9 a case, more expensive to go with the 100% versus the
I think
that's wrong. That's
it's
$20.
$20.
$20 when you're looking at the letter size.
Real quickly this morning, this is a semi-annual contract.
It's a what?
We purchased from April 15th. Semi-annual contract. From April 15th to July 1, we purchased 842 cases of 8.5 by 11 copy paper, 10 cases of legal paper. The first column would be current prices with just virgin paper as we purchased in the past. The second column would be with 30% post-consumer waste.
No, wait a minute, Jack. What
It's
I'm seeing,
almost double.
I know that, but what I'm not seeing any, I didn't think at least I was seeing anything that was not recycled. So are you saying that
He's
somewhere on
showing
here I have a
the
price?
thing that he handed us. He's talking about this. He's showing us.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm looking at our court.
The first two columns are letter and legal size paper with the purchases and quantities of existing paper with just virgin paper with zero non-consumer, post-consumer waste. The third and fourth columns would show at 30%, same quantities, the new case price. At the very bottom of column number 3 is the difference. So for the 842 cases we purchased from April 15th till July 1, it would cost the county $11,144.10 more with 30% post-consumer waste. If you go to column number 5, although there's a small typo, that's 100% post-consumer waste, which is the largest quantity you can purchase with post-consumer waste. That price increases from $27.20 to $53.72 per case. Over that 6 months period would be an increase of $48,849.84 more than what we purchased with the previous prices.
Now, your bid award recommendation was for the purchase of what kind of paper? The 30% or the 100%?
Both.
Both.
Your choice, our choice.
And I think that comes from us. What are we going to have our employees purchase, and what are we going to use as a county?
I hope we use 100%.
I hope we do too. I want to make that commitment to it. I mean, it's not going to be cheap to be green, but we've talked about it and talked about it and talked about it in the 18 years I've been here, and this is the first time we're getting really serious about it.
A couple of weeks ago, I think I remember announcing in court that we were going to have a green office supply show, and that was very well attended. We offered and made aware samples of just all recycled office supply products. We do have pricing available in our pricer. Again, that's something else we've done as a county to be proactive in this process. It was very well attended.
And I appreciate what you've done. I think it's up to us to make a further commitment.
Jack, when we recycle this paper, which assuming we attempt to do that on all of our paper.
Yes, sir.
Is there any price difference the county gets for recycled when we recycled paper?
Not really. The difference is how many times it goes through the bleach process. That's the difference between 30% post-consumer waste and 100%. It just, the more you go, unfortunately, the higher the cost.
But by us selling our recycled, by us recycling waste paper,
we're gaining again.
Conceivably, that we gain a credit we can apply against the additional expense of buying 100% recycled.
That's correct.
paper.
So, Jack, is the 30% paper, is it all recycled paper?
30% is made with post-consumer, is 30% recyclable products from that post-consumer waste.
70% of it's new stuff. So I want
We have
to
a motion, and we have a second.
And I want us to go with 100%, and I don't want us to have an option available because the commitment won't be there if we make an option available.
I would like to revise my motion to reflect buying only 100% recycled paper.
Second.
Now, we have a motion second. I would like to talk just a little bit about that because I think that let's at least listen to situations of where that doesn't work with
certain machines
and or some stationary stuff like that. We may end up having some problem. I don't know that we will with stationary. I don't think that may not end up being an issue. But let's at least hear from the departments. If you think we've got or that you've got problems with recycled paper, please make us aware of that as soon as possible so that we can address that and try to work through the process. But otherwise, let's use 100% recycled paper.
That's what my motion said.
I thought I knew
And
that
that's
was-
what I seconded, right?
Most aren't bashful.
Would this include, is this just what we're talking about, letter size and legal size?
Yes, sir.
We're not talking envelopes?
We had, as I remember from a previous conversation, we, from this bid we did from April 15, 2008, a lot of our paper choices were recyclable, as I remember.
Yeah.
Not everything, but there was quite a few items that were recyclable.
I think this is the first time you've been able to bring us a bid that had something that we could actually choose 100% recycled.
I think with the interest that we've portrayed with the Green Office Supply show, with the additional information that's come out on a weekly basis in the news media, on television, I think people are very interested in complying with what we're all trying to do, and we'll watch it very closely and report back to you.
Unfortunately, I think with regards to recycled paper manufacturers, they're mostly in the Northwest and other places, but it would at least be worth looking at to see if there's any way we can link our recycled paper to a recycled paper manufacturer to really see if we couldn't run the whole gamut.
You're trying to have a stream.
I'm trying to say that what we recycle, we reuse. I doubt that will work, but I mean, let's at least explore it.
And one of the things that but one of the issues in the industry is that there isn't a steady stream of recyclable materials. And if we can help with that, then everything that we do is that much closer to making it more readily available.
Thanks. You'd like a vote, wouldn't you? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 7 is also a bid of order recommendation for RFO number 2008-151. This is for the purchase of an automatic folding inserting system for elections administration. Recommendation will be awarded to Pitney Bowles, the amount of $79,897.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 8 is also a bid award recommendation for bid number 2008-111. This is our annual contract for window washing. That recommendation will be to award a per unit price basis, selecting as our primary vendor Collins Window Cleaning, and our secondary vendor Citywide Building Services Incorporated.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Is this all on multi-story building?
No. I don't.
That's a good question.
Yes, except for the medical.
Right. Well, that's two-story.
I would assume there's some one-level buildings where it has high glass, which this is part of.
For the local maintenance people that are positioned at that building, county employees, don't do the windows.
Not if they're over maybe 8 feet or so, or they have to hang off the side of the building to get there.
Gotta hang in there.
Do we vote? Do we even have a
Do
motion?
we have a motion?
Any further discussion? Please vote. Hanging off the building just kind of confused me and got me on it. Motion passes unanimously.
Our item number 9 is an item in regards to RFO number 2008-089. This was an RFO for the relocation of the Tarrant County Records Management shelving system. Just before court this morning, we found out from the Burris Corporation that they cannot obtain the bonding that's required. With that in mind, I would recommend rejection of this particular bid. And I believe we've located another Tex Mass vendor that we can possibly utilize. If that can't happen, we'll know within the next day or so. We would revise the specifications and put that out again for bid.
So we'll know within 24 hours?
Yes, ma'am.
You want us to hold it?
No, ma'am.
Okay,
Please.
don't hold it. All right. Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Our last item is also a bid award recommendation for bid number 2008-145, the sale of recycled paper. That recommendation will be toward the high bidder, Corrugated Services, at the rate of $109 per ton.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Any appointments today, court members? I would like to reappoint Victor Vandegrift to the NTTA Board. We had appointed him to a one-year term. He's now coming up for renewal and has recently been selected as vice chair, so I would like to move his reappointment.
Second.
Willing to do it again?
Yes, yes. We have a motion and 3 seconds. All those in favor, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. You have the claims and the addendum before you.
Move for approval of the claims and the addendum.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the claims, including the addendum. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Briefing items?
Not at this time, Your Honor.
Just a couple of things. One, Commissioner Van Ravensway just passed me a little note saying that there's something down at the XTO building. I've got traffic kind of rerouted around downtown, so if you're going about, there's apparently a little problem there. And then also, we lost this past weekend, a real friend of the region, Jack Hatchell, Commissioner in Collin County, passed away to cancer Saturday night, and the service will be tomorrow. But please, would you please show that we're closing today's court session in memory of Commissioner Jack Hatchell from Collin County. This time we will adjourn,
No.
we will recess the open session and proceed to the closed session to discuss items exempted under sections 551.071, 072, 074, 076,
Jack.
and 087 of the Texas Government Code.
Jack.
We just need to do one of those and just throw that at the end of every one of our meetings, and just because we changed.
Don't forget.
Jack Hatchell.
Right.
See you, Danny. We went into clothes and changed clothes every day, so that way we have a different color shirt on.